Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. The Green Path podcast is kindly sponsored by Systonica, the first sustainability recognition for vacation rental homes. What if vacation rental professionals could influence millions of travellers to make their own homes more sustainable? Show the world that you have taken steps to make your vacation rental consume less and get your badge on systonica.com.
We believe that change requires leadership. Speaking of big commitments in leadership, I want to thank our upcoming panelists for their big commitments and their leadership in this category. So without further ado, let's introduce our panelists. Deborah Lobby is going to be our moderator, and we're also joined by Bob Garner, Vanessa D'Souza-Lage, and Tara Scott. This group of leaders stands out for their commitment, but also their knowledge of how environmental initiatives are not only good for the planet, but also smart business. With that, I'd love to turn the floor over to Deborah to kick off day 2 of the RR Summit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, David. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Rent Responsibly team and partners. And hello, everyone, and welcome to this session where we're going to help you tap into the large and flourishing market of sustainable travelers. A year ago, I invited myself to attend an invite-only meeting about sustainability, Bob's, in fact. I knew absolutely nothing about sustainability, and so I was precisely the person this meeting was trying to figure out how to target and convince to go cleaner and greener. My lack of knowledge and understanding about the subject had kept me feeling indifferent, even paralyzed from doing anything. Besides, a year ago, it wasn't even part of the daily or even weekly industry conversation. So I started the Green Path podcast then to help people like me. I knew sustainability was going to be a hot topic, and to get ahead of the pack, you need to do something now. Well, your now starts now. Today, we're taking you through some of the basics, and hopefully by the end, you may discover you're already on your green path, or you may have some notes to help you get started on it. So without further ado, let's meet the panel. If you could all introduce yourself and let us know why it is that you're here today. Bob, you go first.
Sure. Hi. Thanks for the invite. My name is Bob Garner. I run Casal di Fichi, a sustainable holiday apartments in Italy, which I've been doing for 18 years. Last year, I founded Green VR Events, where we try and help the 50 or so events in our industry, short-term rentals, to be more sustainable, to put sustainability on the agenda. And just recently this year, I launched Enviro Rental, which is really about giving resources, information, tips, techniques, and tools to our industry for free so people can start or progress on their sustainability journey.
Thank you very much, Bob. And Vanessa.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. I'm Vanessa. I'm a tech entrepreneur in the vacation rental industry. Started off by having an OTA in the very early days before Airbnb. and then I co-founded a channel manager called Rentals United. And just last year in December, so it's very early days for us still, I co-founded Systonica. And Systonica is the first sustainability badge for vacation rentals around the world.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Vanessa. And Tara. Hello, Tara.
Hi, and thanks for having me here as well. I'm Tara. My business is ClickBook Stay, and we're a holiday property management company based in Scotland, which is very sunny today, thankfully. We've been running the business now since 2005, so I've seen lots of changes over that time. But it was really during COVID and the first lockdown that made us really think about how we wanted to take the business forward. And at that point, we decided that our core values really did focus around sustainability and looking after the the planet, but also our own well-being and that of our guests and our contractors as well. So we decided at that point to implement some changes to the business and have that real focus on sustainability at the heart of the business as well. And yeah, so we're still learning as well, but hopefully we've come a little bit on the journey.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to start off with another why. My favorite, Simon Sinek, says, start with a why. So Bob, this is a question for you. We're going to start off with, why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? Why should property managers be listening? Basically, what is the problem?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question, and one that people can't often think of what the immediate answer is. Everyone's clear that there's a climate emergency. The planet is warming up. We're releasing too much carbon dioxide, which is warming up the planet, which is causing the problems around fires and floods and raising the sea temperature and the sea level, acidification of the seas. And this is affecting various parts of the world really significantly already. And as we continue to see the temperature rising, it will get worse and worse. I think everybody is probably aware of that and is understanding what the issues are. So we're often told that we need to get to net zero before 2050, which is net zero carbon emissions by 2050. And also keep our emissions, the heating below 1.5 degrees Celsius before 2050. Unfortunately, since the Industrial Revolution, we're already at 1.1 degrees, and we're expected to breach the 1.5 degree level in the early 2030s. So the problem is there, and everyone talks about 2050, but people find it difficult to imagine that far ahead and imagine what they can do or should do or the implications of it all. So one of the interim goals that's clearly there to achieve before we reach 2050 is to reduce our emissions by 50% by 2030. That's every country, every person, every company, every organization, everybody reducing their emissions on average by 50% by 2030. And that includes the short-term rental industry, every property manager, every tech company, every host, etc. Now, the problem then is that, first of all, most people aren't even aware of that target. They're not aware that they need to be reducing their emissions by that much by 2030. And bear in mind, for every year you delay, you have to do even more to reach that target. So it's clearly a real big problem. Emissions in our industry, in tourism generally, and in short-term rentals are still rising, and we haven't even plateaued. So the idea is to try and get people talking about sustainability, understanding there's a climate emergency, but also trying to get people to take action and not wait. It's really easy to wait and go, well, I'll wait for this person to do it, or that organization to do it, or somebody to change the regulations, and we can't wait for some of those things to happen. We need to get people engaged. On Saturday is Earth Day, which is when we come together to celebrate the planet that we live on and to try to protect it. That was launched in 1970, and we'll be celebrating and campaigning on Earth Day, and we have been doing all this week in Earth Week. But what we do need to try and do is get our industry engaged, to educate them, to inform them, to help them. Nobody is criticizing. We're all on the same journey, and we've all got to start to make progress. But what a lot of people are struggling with is what to do and how to start. And we'll come on to that, I'm sure, in these conversations. But the why is because the planet is heating up. We have some targets to meet. We're nowhere near meeting them, and we need to start to take action because ultimately the planet will not be survivable. We cannot survive if the temperature keeps going up and up, and it may not affect us. I'll probably be dead by 2050. But the generations to come, those are the people that will have to pick up the tab. And so we need to take action, and the sooner we take it, the easier it will be.
Yeah, I might just add too that when you say a target of net 50% reduction by 2030, property managers aren't expected to go, boom, 50% in one go. It's a slow gradation. So the steps that we're going to talk about today is the path to dropping your emissions closer to 50%, on the way to 50%. So don't be fearful of like, how am I going to get to 50% just like that? It's a slow process. So
yeah, and just to say, if I may just add there, yeah, you're
of course.
absolutely right. And the Travel Foundation, who are one of the leaders in the industry, produced a report 3 or 4 weeks ago, which essentially said our industry cannot survive business as usual. It has to adapt. It needs to change. It needs to adopt policies and practices and procedures that will help us achieve that step change year on year. And if each person can do a little, we can get there a lot quicker.
Yes. So moving on to the guests. So there is a huge audience of guests, of travelers looking for sustainable properties. So who are these travelers and what sort of properties are they looking for? And do you think the demand will continue to increase? Vanessa, this one's for you.
Thanks, Sarah. Will the demand? Yes, absolutely. It's likely to increase the demand for sustainable travel in general. And there's a few reasons for that. One is that corporations are adopting sustainable travel policies. And secondly, governments around the world also are looking at regulations to promote sustainable tourism. And I think the real game changer that we're already seeing is that this growing awareness, what you guys were talking about just now, is there's a growing awareness of environmental issues, which has a direct impact on consumer preferences, right? So, and long-lasting impact as well. So the wonderful thing is that vacation rentals are inherently more sustainable. You know, we offer dispersed tourism. We make sure that homes don't sit empty, so it's resource utilization. We consume much less energy in general than hotels. For example, we don't have also less water. You know, we don't have giant flower beds to water. We only light a few rooms, not hundreds of rooms. So environmentally conscious travelers are likely to choose vacation rentals over hotels anyway. Also, and I'd like to mention this, thanks to Airbnb, you know, their vacation rentals are seen as this authentic local experience. And that's part of sustainable tourism, very much so. So, but let's look at today. Yeah, what's the situation today? And we have some incredible stats with Booking.com just recently released. And Booking.com is the only OTA that really has done a large survey that we can rely on, because they have access, obviously. So the last survey that they did, they said that 80% of their respondents confirmed that traveling more sustainably is important to them. Yet, despite the good intentions of travelers, 50% of those don't know where to find more sustainable options. And roughly the same numbers believe that there's not enough on offer. So that's worrying, because there's demand, there's not enough supply, right? And another thing was, and obviously was very good for Stonica, was that 65% of the respondents would feel better if they stayed in an accommodation that had a sustainability badge. So we kind of need to come forward. We need to say we're doing something as property managers, as owners, and we need to show and make sure that we're found for it, because the demand is there.
And Tara, what sort of guests are you getting? Are you getting the sustainable travelers specifically searching you out?
I think what we're finding is a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. So I think not necessarily people searching to find us out, but I think what we're trying to do with our guest communications and information that we're presenting to them in the properties is encouraging things like recycling and shopping local and what have you. So I think that is getting them thinking about what they're doing on holiday, and a lot of the feedback that we're then receiving from them post-stay comments on the fact that they really like the fact that we are focused on sustainability, and they would definitely book again because of that. So they may not have started off on that journey, but I think having communication within the whole process from them booking to leaving the property definitely encourages them to think about it a bit more going forward as well. I
Mm.
think the other thing that I find as well is that when you look at the surveys, a lot of people do say that they want to be more responsible and would consider a sustainable accommodation in the next year. But a lot of people will forego that if it's a case of they've been stressed out at work and they just need a break. So I think going back to this whole idea of having a sustainable badge, I think that does need to improve, because it is difficult to actually find the accommodation that is serving that purpose. Because I think a lot of people think about sustainability as not being as refined or luxurious, that they've got to give up some of their niceties, I guess, on the holiday. So I think we've got to really show people that they don't have to sacrifice anything on their stay. They actually get more from it, and they can have a better experience by adopting a sustainable approach to it all.
Well, speaking about a better experience, let's drill down and let's talk about some things that property managers, owners and hosts can do right now to start on their green path journey. Bob, would you like to start us off with a couple of things that managers can do right now?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, and it's always the one that I mentioned first because it's the most obvious and it's also one of the easiest, is to look at your carbon footprint and look at the energy that you consume. So unless you've got, solar panels and all the kit so that you actually are not drawing electricity from the network, and great if you can do that. But for most of us, we are using electricity. So one of the first things that you can do is switch to a green energy tariff. So that is a conversation or an email or a click on a website with your energy provider and switch to a green energy tariff. Now, what that means, of course, it's still the same energy coming down the wire to your property or your properties, but that money that you're giving each month or each quarter is going to invest and support renewable energy. And the more of us that can do that, and the more of us that can move away from coal and oil and some of the other polluting fuels, then the quicker we will move to complete sustainability. Now, if by chance your provider, depending on where you are in the world, doesn't have that, and some don't want to make it so easy for you to see, it should be clearly listed on your bill. But if it isn't and they don't do it, switch providers. It isn't complicated. It's a really simple process, and switch providers and switch to a green energy tariff. It shouldn't cost you any more money, but then once you've done it, you are getting a great start, because your energy that you consume is one of the biggest elements of your footprint. And I'm sure Vanessa will tell us how to do it even smartly through Sustonica.
No. I'd just like to add to you, Bob, because this is obviously one of the most important points that we have in our standard. It's switching to renewable energy. But there are some complications especially in the US, I found out, speaking to US clients. So what you can do in the US, if it's impossible for you to change because at times it is impossible to change your company, is to get a renewable energy certificate, also called a REC. Sometimes called the guarantees of origin. In Europe, it's called guarantees of origin. In the US, called renewable energy certificates. And you can get that through a separate company from your electricity company. And I have one, for example, called zerolabs.green. And they're a wonderful company, and they provide these certificates, and they make sure that you run on renewable energy, even if your company doesn't allow you to do it. So I can put it in the chat.
And Tara, one from you or a couple? We've got time for this. This is the important bit.
I have more.
We'll do round and round.
I think for us, as a property manager, it was a bit more challenging to get started because we don't own the properties. So it was looking at how we can be sustainable as a business in that capacity. So one of the things that we did was we started looking at all of our suppliers, and we started asking the questions about their sustainable policies. And we tend to only work now with people that have got the same ethos as ourselves. So that's across the board, from our linen suppliers to our the heating and electricity for our office as well, to shopping locally as much as possible, or buying in bulk if we can't get something within the local area.
And I mean, look, one of the basics is the single-use plastics. No more little single amenities anymore, refillable bottles and things like that. And Tara, you actually touched on it in our episode on the Green Path podcast. To take into account all the things that you purchase, how many miles have they done to get to your business? So really it is looking locally, or looking at the green providers, the suppliers. Yes, that's an important one too.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And I think whenever we started on our journey with everything, we actually had a conversation with Bob, who put us in touch with some very good suppliers at the time as well. But it was looking at all of the toiletries and cleaning products that we put into the properties, and we now use environmentally friendly products that are refillable. So we go in and top them up every booking. And we use the likes of Who Gives a Crap toilet rolls, which again have been, even the fact that they're individually wrapped, I think through the whole COVID epidemic and everything else, that was actually a really nice touch, but also it's also sustainable as well. And yeah, so it's just really questioning suppliers, and then looking at what we're actually putting into the properties that we've got control of. And trying to make a difference there as much as we possibly can.
I think Bob had his finger up first.
Just to quick one, I really just want to reinforce and support the message that Tara got out there, because it often isn't spoken enough about. And I know Tara is doing some amazing stuff there. And that is not just what you do within your own company or with your hosts if you're managing a lot of properties, but how you use your money, how you amplify your message. So, for us, a small business in Italy, just 6 apartments, we can reach our customers, and but that isn't enough. Reaching your suppliers is really important, as Tara said, and it's a great way of how you spend your euro or your dollar to amplify your message and give only to companies who are doing something themselves for the planet or the community. So it's a really great way of supporting the whole industry. And so I wanted to support Tara in that message. And while I'm speaking, I'll just follow on and say the other thing. I mean, there are so many we could talk all day about them, but and we've spoken a lot about this, but another important one is switching over to LED lights. So as you go round and your lights start to go, switch to LED lights. Obviously it's the latest technology. Use a fraction of the energy, and therefore you'll spend a lot less on your energy. They last for so much longer, so you won't be changing them out regularly. And the reason that they're so efficient is because, unlike the old style lights, they're not giving out heat. They're cool to the touch. So they're very efficient in the energy that they use, and a typical home can save a couple of $100 or more dollars a year if they switch to the LED lights. So that's certainly one thing for you to think about.
And Vanessa?
No, I like the point that Tara made, that obviously you don't have control over everything, right? Some managers would have control because they take care of everything, but others, they need the support of the owners. There's one thing that the managers that we work with have done a lot of work to pass the standard into, and that is the digital guidebooks. So your digital guidebooks that you give to your guests, have a list of local volunteering work, for example, a list of local heritage sites, list of off the beaten path sites, list of locally produced foods, list of vegetarian restaurants, list of EV charging stations, because people come with their cars, they may decide to rent a car, and if they know that they can rent an electrical car because you gave them a list and you said it's easy. And there's another one, in Paris now, there's loads of water stations in the streets. So a list of nearby water stations. So instead of buying plastic bottles for your water, you would go and refill your glass bottles at nearby water stations. So there's things like this that you can do. They're very effective. And on top of it, as a property manager, it comes from you, and it shows your let's say, your willingness to help the issue.
Well, I'm going to add one too. Oh, my turn, Bob, sorry. I'm going to add one too. Years before I even thought about sustainability, or didn't really know much about it, I was providing shopping bags. Well, actually, they were more for beach bags, but they were also shopping bags. And it was a big house, so they were paying a lot of money. So it was actually an expensive jute bag, but with my logo on it. And I figured, well, my logo can go shopping and it can go around the world. So it's not only great for the environment, but it's a great marketing tool too. So whether it's a tote bag or a shopping bag, then why not leave one for every booking? Then your logo gets around the world and you help with the plastics. Good. Anyway, who's next? Sorry. Bob.
Just again, I wanted to support something that Vanessa's just said, talking about digital guides. That's really important. And also some of the digital guides are now starting to put in default sections around sustainability, so that the prompt is already there. So when you sign up, and I've put you with a link in there for Touch Day, but others are going to be doing it too. There's make a difference section where they've already got some prompts there for you, because actually a lot of people are doing stuff, but they don't actually take time to stop and reflect about how much they've achieved. And it's only when you start to document it and you write it down and you put it somewhere, you go, oh, actually, I'm actually doing quite a lot of stuff here. And I always think of these things as, as sort of a really positive circle. Once you get started on things, it's self-reinforcing because you see that it works. It really helps your guests, it helps the planet, it helps your business. You can make money out of this. It's not you're not just doing it for the good of the planet and to be an ethical person. It's actually good for your business too. And when you start to reflect on that, it sort of encourages you to take the next step. So definitely the digital guide is a real good one. And I would add to that when you're looking at your website, think about where your website is hosted. So again, servers around the world of producing the same amount of global greenhouse gases as flying. Everyone talks about flying being bad and we should cut down on flying, but nobody talks about the internet and websites. So think about how you can run your website on green technology, which is, going to an organization called the Green Web Foundation, and you can instantly see for any organization whether the servers that run that are run on green technology. I'll put a link in the chat at the moment. So that is another way of just trying to, all these things are quite small, but they add up to quite a lot. So it's just about knocking them off one at a time.
Vanessa.
No, I love the website. In fact, I need to check my own if it's on green energy. There's another one that's really, really effective, and for people who are listening who like a bit of tech, and that's the occupancy sensors. The occupancy sensors is an incredible tool, cheap to install, cheap to run, and it basically turns on and off the air conditioning and the heating and the lights, if you wanted to, as guests are leaving. And I find it incredible that we don't all have that in the industry, because you can save so much energy by having one of these little tools installed. So I highly recommend doing that.
Hotels have it. I remember years and years ago, I asked an electrician, can I do that thing, where they put the key in to turn the electricity on? But yep, now they have it, and it is a really important thing when the guests are at the beach all day and the aircon's running for 6 hours and unnecessarily. It's a very important thing. Yeah.
In fact, I believe Operto, who is one of the sponsors of Rent Responsibly, I have this tool, so they'd be good to look at.
Yes. Okay.
And in Europe, Modo Smart.
Modo Smart. Yeah. Great. And Tara, was your hand going to go up?
It was going to go up. I think another thing that we found as well is that and there's growing evidence to support this as well, is that having a sustainable brand actually improves brand image. And that also helps to attract good employees and good support, because people want to feel like they're working and they're part of a good cause. And I think it also is the whole conscious, it feels more conscious that you're going to look after the staff, etc. as well. So we've really focused on that piece, and we've attracted in some really good cleaning and contractors as well. We also try to pay fair wages, and we see that as very much part of the whole sustainability piece as well, because that's, if you're supporting people in your local community, then there's more money for them to spend and support the community further as well. So we pay fair wages to all of the cleaners, and hospitality is notorious for paying low and unexpected, but it's a tough job. It is a hard job. We all put in lots of hours. It's 7 days a week, so we should be paying staff well for that. And I think by marrying those two pieces together, the brand image and attracting the right people, we've got more longevity, I think, in terms of the whole business and how we can grow and sustain that growth as well.
I know we can sit here and talk about this for hours, but we have to move on because time is running. So property managers have put some of these things into place. How are they going to market this to these travelers that are looking for these sustainable properties? What are some ways that they can what are some of the things they can do to get the word out to these travelers and guests that they do about what they're doing? Vanessa, would you like to start?
Sure. So obviously, and as Tara said, it's the whole guest experience journey helps you promote the fact that you're a sustainable brand. So touching already your existing guests with emails and inside the property, showing what you're doing, being very clear about it. We recommend having a sustainability chart. Then your website is a crucial place, as hopefully you're doing some efforts in terms of book direct. People will land on your website, and here you have a real good opportunity to show what you're doing. Then you have some, sadly few, OTAs that are focused on sustainability. I can't say that, looking at stats, they're probably not as wide-reaching as the large OTAs, as usual, they're niche. However, I think it would be good, if you're really taking this seriously, to be present on these sites and to say that you are on, for example, ecobnb.com, etc. But obviously not expecting that you're going to fill your calendar all year, unlikely. So then there's the big OTAs, right? Where you want to be able to be part of their filter. And that's where Sustanica will come in and help you be part of the filter. Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, Vrbo, etc. So that's what we're aiming at, because without spending too much time on Sustanica now, but the hotels have 200 certifications, so they have a way of selling themselves. They pay thousands and thousands of dollars for those certifications, and it takes time, etc. But then there are on Booking.com, etc., sustainable property. So we need that too, and we don't have it yet because there are no certifications for vacation rentals. For various reasons. So, but yes, the end game, I think, to get your sustainable property in front of as many people as possible is to be in those filters of the big OTAs.
Because they are coming.
Yeah, and they're going to push the market. The OTAs want it, and they're going to push the market. What we think will happen eventually is that you will not be able to rent your property if it's not okay enough in terms of sustainability. Eventually, hopefully sooner rather than later. you know, they will force us. That and local governments will force us to do things. So it's best to already start on the green path, and do everything that you can to show that you are doing something, because it can only reward you in terms of marketing, in terms of the local community, in terms of the lawmakers.
Yeah, makes you look good for the regulations. Tara or Bob, have you got something to add there too?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that Vanessa said, those are the kind of things that we've tried to do for our business. I think for us, looking at like booking.com at the minute, their sustainability criteria is still very hotel focused, in my opinion. So it's still asking you if you want daily bed change, and or if guests can ask to avoid daily bed changing, and if you're sourcing food locally and organically, which obviously for most holiday lets, we're not actually doing any of that. So the questions aren't very much in our favour at all at the minute. So I think that's probably one of the big reasons why most people haven't even got a sustainability badge on most of the OTAs at the minute. So I think there's a lot of room. So I'm really interested to see what Systonica, how that bridges the gap. I'd definitely be interested. We looked at, for our business, accreditation as well. In the UK, we've got green tourism, which I think does cover Europe as well, but that's very much property focused. And a lot of that, again, we're not in control of. So we tried to look and see if there was something that fit our needs more. And we ended up going down the route of REST accreditation through Quality in Tourism, which is Responsible, Ethical, Sustainable Tourism. A bit of a mouthful, but it basically was more bespoke for us, and they looked at how our business operated and how we could make a difference. And then every year we go through a process again with them where they look at what steps we've actually taken that we said we were going to take. So that's been an interesting process for us, and obviously then we've got the badge for that there as well. Otherwise, I think it's really reviews. So it's trying to do the best that we can and get the guest communication out before, during, and after the stay, so that people are actually reviewing and commenting about the fact that they like us being sustainable, because that word of mouth is going to be some of the best PR that we'll ever get. So it's trying to encourage that as well. And yeah, I think just emails. Otherwise, it's just really trying to always include a little bit about our sustainable approach, and that's on most of our listings as well. We've got a sustainability statement. So yeah.
Just back on the OTA comment that you made, Holidoo, they do have a badge on Holidoo, and I got some stats from the lovely Enrique from Holidoo. 11.51% increase in clicks on the properties that have the sustainability badge, and 28.73 click to book increase. So people are looking, and when they are looking for those badges. So get a badge, get an accreditation. People are looking, and there's little supply. Bob, were you going to add something?
Yeah, again, just supporting what Vanessa and Tara have said, speaking to hundreds of people in the industry around this, and everybody has some level of confusion about what they can do, what they should do, where they should start. I mean, that's why I launched Environmental, and I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that a little bit, and other things. But when you think about it, it's just about getting started and starting on a path and taking some steps. But then, as was just been said, what you do need to do is you need to document it. You need to market yourself. You need to communicate that. What is the point of doing this stuff if nobody knows about it? We all know what greenwashing is, where people are pretending that the impact is greater than it is. Well, there's also green hushing, where you're doing stuff, but then you don't talk about it. And it's just total madness. So I always say to people, even if it's 2 or 3 small things, get a page on your website, explain what you're doing, be honest, don't greenwash. Say you're starting a journey, say that you're going to, join Systonica and get a badge, and you'll keep improving it year on year. Talk about what you're going to do. People won't judge you, won't criticize you for starting out. We've all got to start somewhere. It's get something started, but then document it. You know, as has been said, get it in your digital guide, get it on your website, get a badge, get an accreditation, you know, blog about it, talk about it. And then even, you know, the press love when people are doing stuff around sustainability. Approach some press, see if you can get some press about it. And as you develop, you know, then start to enter for some of the sustainability awards in our industry. It's a fantastic buzz if you get shortlisted, and as you develop and as you improve, hey, you may just win one of them. So go for it. You know,
Come on, we can do this.
It's like a drug. I always say it's like potato chips. Once you start, you just can't stop.
I love that analogy. Yeah. We're going to move on because time is ticking. Oh my God. Okay, so we're back to a why. Why should property managers listen to this? Why should they be taking notes? What are the benefits of them if they actually listen? Besides a cleaner planet, what do they get out of this if they take some of these steps? Who wants to start? Go for it, Vanessa.
Well, one of the things, the feedback I got, which I didn't realize I would get from property managers, is that it gave them an excuse to go to their owners and get the owners to update the property. Because some of the properties that you have on the management may be a little bit oldish and owners are not really willing to do anything to go through it. And so speaking the sustainability talk and saying, you know, we're going to attract more guests because, you know, we're going through the sustainability journey, help them to go and update, the owners to go and update their properties. And that's wonderful because as property managers know, you know, some owners are not very willing to work with you. But because the word sustainability does resonate more and more with consumers or with owners, it has an impact. And I wasn't expecting that, sure, I must say, but that's one of the wonderful things that happens because of.
I'm going to throw one in now. Well, basically, if there are guests looking for properties and there's not enough supply, and one day there are going to be filters on the OTAs that will direct the guest exactly to the supply, then get ahead of everyone else and do it now. You will basically be ahead of the market if you do it now, because there are too few properties out there and people will find you. And also one more thing, in the UK, there is going to be a minimum requirement for a property to have a certain rating, C+ rating in the UK. It might happen in the US too. You might not be able to rent a property unless you have a certain rating, sustainability rating, green rating. So get in and do it now before everyone else does. Get ready. Bob, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many great benefits. And by the way, if you want the shortcut, go to the homepage for Environmental. They're all listed on the homepage there. They're all there. And you know, it's really about doing it because it's good for your business as well. So what you will find is you will collect these really loyal, dedicated guests who love what you're doing and really appreciate it, and go home more satisfied, and they will give you a better review, a more nuanced review, a richer review. They will come back, they will refer their friends and family. I know it works from my experience of 18 years of doing it. People really appreciate that you've made the difference and you've started to align the values of your business with the values of your community and the people who come and stay with you. And people really love that when they go home and they go, yeah, those people are doing the sorts of things that I'm trying to do. I like that. I'm going to encourage that. I'm going to go back. It's really good for your business, and it's really good for your repeat rate and for your reviews. So definitely that's one that I would recommend.
And Tara?
I think I was just going to say, I think in addition to what everybody's already said, I think you're also helping your owners save money. You're reducing their costs. So they're going to make more money. So they're going to be happier with what you're doing with them. They're going to be wanting to stay on board with you because you're taking them on that journey with you, aren't they? So I think more profit for everybody at the end of the day is going to make happy people.
Yeah. And Vanessa?
I have another important one, and I think this is the right forum to talk about it, and that's regulations, right? So we all have to, I mean, all property managers who are serious property managers who are looking for long-term business and to remain in business have to be involved in the local laws around STR. And so having a really strong sustainability aspect to your business is another signal for the local lawmakers that you are a serious business and that you take what you do in a very serious fashion. And so not only do you make sure that you have that you consume less energy, but you also attract the right kind of guests, right? Guests that are respectful of the environment, respectful of the community. So this all helps in this brand image that we need to push to the local regulators, let's say, to the local lawmakers. Yeah, I think that's really important for long term.
Yeah. Any more to add? We got the next session to go. Next section. We're at a people, places, and planet event. We've talked about the planet and the environment. What about the people and the places part? How do we fit in? How does that fit in with property managers? Bob, would you like to start? Would you like to explain actually the people and places, what that means in terms of sustainability, and then how, you know, it works within the short-term rental industry?
Well, the people, places, and planet obviously is part of the mission statement of Rent Responsibly, and they've defined that in their way. But a lot of people also talk about it in terms of the 3 Ps, you know, which is, you know, your profit, your people, and the planet. So it's a very similar model. And the idea is really that you can best measure a really successful organization by what they're doing around those 3 Ps. And so, you know, if you're an organization who's making profit, and obviously many organizations, that is their purpose, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing to be shamed for about making profit. But at the same time, also consider the people that work for you, the people in your local community, the people in your network, and how you can care and look after them in the way Tara was talking about minimum wage and how you pay people appropriately. And then also in the planet, which is all the things that we've been talking about, is how you can do the right thing by the planet. And many organizations take those 3 Ps as a way of judging their success. It isn't just about how much profit they can make. It's also about the people and the planet, or the places in this case with Rent Responsibly. So it's about shifting your mindset about how you judge success, which isn't always just about how many dollars you can make at the end of the day.
And Vanessa?
I don't really have anything to add to that. I mean, I think that's in a nutshell, that's really where we're at. And the wonderful thing is, one thing is that at the school of my children, they teach people planet profit. And so one can expect that this is the way that companies will be run more and more in the future. They're already learning about this. So, so that's great.
And you did touch on this, Tara, and I think it is about the you know, buying local, the local suppliers, things like that. Is there anything more to add about the local aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes when it comes to sustainability, I think people want to do something and play a part, but I think sometimes the whole protect the planet seems too big a task, and people feel that them as an individual won't be able to make a difference. And I think really it's about engaging that. Engaging everybody and I guess educating as to, you know, how they can make a difference to themselves and to the communities that they're working within. In my opinion, I think sustainability goes really hand in hand with well-being, and you know, we've got a crisis around the world in terms of health and things as well. So I think if we can start off by showing people the little things, and even just reducing plastics or using environmentally friendly products, shopping local, eating fresh food from the locally made restaurants or cafes, rather than having something that's flown around the world, or that's, you know, that's not even in season. We're not even getting good nutrition anymore. So I think by bringing it back into simple, go and buy, your fresh fruit and vegetables from the local greengrocers, or go to the nice vegetarian restaurant. I think that actually encourages new behaviors, new habits, and engages the community a bit more as well.
I think, yeah, the whole thing about community, I think, buying the soap, potentially your soap from some local supplier, or the pastries that you offer your guests, things like that. When it comes to that dirty word of regulations, when you have the community behind you, because you've all been working together to give guests an amazing experience, your guests can go and buy that soap if they liked it, or they can go buy a packet of biscuits from that lovely bakery. Everyone's working together. And I think when it comes to regulation, you'll have the community support behind you too. Yep. Now, David's just popped into the room. This could be a bad sign. We're going to start wrapping up. In the last few minutes, Bob and Vanessa, can you please give us a 1 or 2 minute rundown on what does Envirorental and Sustonica do? I'm sure everyone's got an idea now, but please go for it before we get kicked off.
Bob, you take mine, I take yours.
Oh, that would be a challenge.
Go for it.
Okay, Envirorental, yeah. It really came about because when I'm talking to property managers, I was at a conference last year, there were hundreds of property managers in the room. I asked them all to stand up. I said, stay standing if you believe sustainability should be a part of your business. 99% of them stayed on their feet. I expected it to be the case. The second question, now, how many of you actually done something around sustainability? Stay on your feet. 95% of people sit down. They're clever, intelligent, articulate people, but they haven't got their head around what sustainability means, where to start, and how to do it. So I put Envirorental together with everything that you can think of around sustainability and short-term rentals, and nothing else is on that website. Your amazing podcast is on there, of course, Deborah. We've got case studies, we've got webinars, we've got blogs, we've got a roadmap. Everything is totally free because we want no barriers to entry. We want people to act. As I was saying at the beginning, people need to act and they need to take action now. So everything is free, and we're using our partners and our sponsors to help get that information out. So I'd encourage you to go to envirorental.earth and just register your details, and then you will find everything we've talked about here and so much more on that website, including a roadmap which will guide you gently on the steps you can take at the pace that you can feel comfortable with. And it's all written in business language, not just around saving the planet, but what it will mean for your business, how you can be more successful, and how you can grow your business. Because at the end of the day, that's what most people want to do. But it's free. There are absolutely no costs. You've got nothing to lose. Go on there, have a look around, and email us, and we'll help you.
Thank you, Bob. And Vanessa?
Well, we're the continuations of Bob's work, really. Once you've started on your path with Envirorental and listening to the podcast and taking ideas from Tara, you can come to us and go through a 3 simple step process, which costs a minimal fee of €40 or $40 these days. And you get your badge at the end. We ask you to comply with 20% of our criteria. We put that number low because we want it to increase every year, but we want you to enter this world of sustainability and really check our standards, check our criteria, find out what you can do, and get your badge. That's it. It's really simple and straightforward. And we hope it gives you good ideas as to what you can do. And as I said, it's very much based on what Envirorental recommends. So
great.
So worth looking into.
Tara, if anyone wants to go and stay in environmentally friendly places in Scotland, Tara's the woman.
Get in touch.
Fantastic.
Fabulous.
And if you'd like to know more about all of these guests and what they've done and what they're doing, you can always listen to their episode on the Green Path podcast. Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, Rent Responsibly, for having us. And thank you, panelists.
Thank you.
And what a panel that was. I took enough notes to fill a notebook here. I know we're going to be sharing the takeaways subsequently, but I did want to call out in about my 60 to 90 seconds left some of the key takeaways that I found that I just thought were brilliant. So if you'll indulge me, Bob had this point of, what is the point of doing this stuff if you don't talk about it? I had not heard the phrase green hushing, but let's elevate that, because let's talk more about what we're doing and signpost it. Tara had a great point about, if you can't control the whole home, think of your suppliers. And I had not heard of Who Gives a Crap, which I did then Googled, and it's sustainable toilet paper. So that's an easy one that is quite memorable. She also talked about improving your brand image in the way that will help you attract and keep your employees. We all know the labor shortage, and labor is so important. Vanessa, you shared with us how to make it easy for your guests and owners to be green. So from the guest side, you can point out EV charger stations, locations, water stations, and the occupancy sensors. But on the owner side, which, you know, you can't always get the owners to update the property, but explain to them the value, explain the savings. And I think that's a brilliant way to solve two birds with one stone. And then Debbie, brilliant at the end, just said, simply get ahead of the market, right? If there's not enough supply and plenty of demand, just get ahead. I think those are all brilliant suggestions, many more. We will share them out. With that, we want to turn to our next session.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode and were at least a little bit inspired. If you'd like to catch up on the other episodes that you've missed, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com. See you next time.